phone, TV, or PC. I'm on whatever screen you own. Jumping from tabs to apps, I suggest you don't. I promise you'll miss out on information that is vital. What I do is feature guests, I'm even call them the best. So I'm going viral with idols, it's so classic. Like I said, CDs and vinyls. You already know it's time for my show. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, Jahni Denver.
Oh, yo, what's happening?
Hey, shit, man. Could you hear me? Am I good?
No, you're good. My bad. My shit was muted.
No, it's all good. But I'm good with you, right? I'm clear with you.
Super clear.
All right, word, Jahni. First off, I want to say thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule.
Yo, I'm sorry. It's kind of dark in here. I'm hotboxing. I'm hotboxing in the whip.
Nah, it's all good. You're good, man. You're good.
Yeah.
Jahni, so before we dig into the good king, right? And this is something that I wanted to know. Who are some of your influences?
Musically?
Yeah.
Well, growing up in like my teens, for sure, Tupac and Bob Marley. Early 20s, I moved on to like Scarface and Nas more. Late 20s, early 30s, I got into Jay.
Word.
Just because I was, his business savvy along with the music was real like inspiring. But like my mom, like growing up in the 90s, my sisters were bumping like Boyz II Men, Jodeci, because I had older sisters, so they're bumping like all the 90s shit. So I got a good taste of like the 90s R&B, the 90s hip hop. One of my sisters was a real hip hop head, so we was like Goody Mob, Outkast, Wu-Tang, Bone Thugs. That was heavy, so.
Word. And you got a record with one of the members from Bone Thugs.
Busy Bone, yeah. We got a couple records. That's my dog. I still check in with him. I might, comment on his stories like weekly for sure.
Word.
And keeps a little ongoing chat in the DMs going. Shout out to Busy. That nigga's,
Nah, Busy he's one hell of a lyricist, man.
He's amazing. He's so slept on, and like they were rapping so fast that people don't really realize that they had a message and lyrics within that pattern.
Word.
And people just get caught up in giving you the double time pattern that they really ain't saying shit in between. That's not the case with Busy and them, it's like beyond deep.
Word. And from some of the influences that you mentioned growing up, what were you able to take away from all them different styles?
Definitely helps with delivery. Like I rewrote the East 1999 album, Eternal album by Bone Thugs, and as much as I could from the Wu-Tang double disc, because when you were young and you wanted to just be down and rap and show the lyrics in the car for that one moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or some older niggas and be down. So I went back home and I was like listening and rewriting all of Eternal, all of Wu-Tang, and I just never forget, because it's like putting my hand to paper with lyrics, the first part, and it was other people's lyrics, So
Word.
I've never forgot it. I've never forgot some of those lyrics, and it's the power of writing things down. For any rapper who wants to like really memorize your shit, if you write it with your hand, not just type it, for some reason you remember it more.
And being that you had got that dose of like 90s music, like how do you feel about the current state, not only hip-hop but even R&B today?
Doesn't really seem like there's much R&B. There's like 4 girls who sound exactly the same when they come. Like I can't tell which one's which. But it doesn't seem like the R&B is out there like that anymore. It all gets I don't hear like hardcore love songs like that back in the day. I sound like the old school niggas, we're like, that ain't music.
Nah, nah, because you know what I mean. Like when I listen to, like if someone drops a love record and then I listen to it, and then in the record, once someone's like, I be on the block pushing, it's like, you just killed it.
Just killed it. Yeah, that's when it gets commercial. But like hip hop, there was such a golden standard for lyricism in the '90s that if it were the '90s now, I mean, I like Good King, but it's just like there were. I don't know if that could even hang. Uh, I don't know if I could hang. Like to be real, like the way because Nas and Wu Tang and the standard was so high, you had to be so dope. And once it kind of just like got shitty,
Mm.
in the 2000s and just mid 2000s, I kind of was just like, fuck, I wanted to bring real hip hop back. I wanted to
Word.
rap about real shit again. And so I wanted to hear it so bad I started rapping.
There you go.
So it's definitely got diluted through the years, but right now there's a special space for lyricism again. Griselda's helped with that. Uh,
Word.
Big Sean's helped with that. Not that just people fucking still rapping. And it's dope. But you want to know what? Lil Baby, even though he does like the auto tune, he be having some lyrics.
Yeah, no, I like Little Baby.
He be saying some shit up in there. I'm like, okay, it's not just all melody. They got that high tune on high, but he can spit.
Word. So aside from needing to write to beats and listening to the music on your project, outside of Jahni Denver, the artist, who are you listening to in your car on the like maybe on a daily?
Man, I always play Jay-Z. I was playing Benny the Butcher, and I'm in the car a lot. So sometimes I like hustler music, where I feel like the story's authentic. So, Benny the Butcher, Jay-Z, I'll throw Burner in there.
Mm.
I'll throw and then I'll take it to like some Carpenters, like, I'll bump some Elton John, I'll bump crazy things that come into my head. Because sometimes I like listening to the light rock my mom listened to when I was growing up, because it like puts me in places in different parts, because we grew up all over the country, so different her little radio stations that she was playing in the in the late 80s, early 90s, those songs still come into my head. And
Right.
so I definitely don't just stay on the hip hop.
Word. Yeah, no, because I mean, then it's like what you said about the R&B. Um, that is an era that we will never get back. Even though you know what I mean, like there, like you said, there is that space for lyricism now. It's just that when you think of the '90s and you think about the greats that came out of there, and then it's like, oh man, like
Mm, mm,
like
mm.
you know what I mean. When we think of DMX, you know what I mean, it's kind of like, yo, who's gonna be like not to even say that someone's gonna be the DMX of this generation, but the impact,
It's
it's a
not gonna
little different.
happen. It's not gonna happen, dude. Like, social media ruined that.
Mm,
It ruined the mysticism, or like like the motherfuckers was mystical. They were larger than life. You see them on magazines and on MTV and
word.
big networks. So like now we see everybody whenever we want, and it took away that the exclusivity. Of
Similar
the,
to radio, when you
it
knew
did
that,
100%,
when
100%. But that's
when you
crazy
knew
that it
that
keeps
one,
evolving.
yeah,
Radio.
when you knew that one DJ had the exclusive, and it's like you got the cassette tape just so that you could put the pieces of tape on it, so you could record that exclusive. So you know what I mean. You walk around, whether it's the Walkman.
Bands had to love you. Like, we would go spend 18.99 to 24.99 depending on the length of a album at
Mm,
Sam Goody or wherever, you know, and it's just fucking crazy when CDs were gone and people started getting so cheap and not really supporting their artists. They no more $24 per album. That was $10 a subscription for everybody's album. You know, like fuck.
Word. But on that note, man, the Good King is out. The
Good
Good
King is
King is
out,
out.
man.
What was the thought process behind this new album? Like, what or who inspired it?
Fuck. I thought I was done making music. Honestly, I fucking took a year and a half off from the last album, and I was getting real heavy with the cannabis business, and just was like, you know, that side's always been my bread and butter. And you know, I'm getting older. You start overthinking, or just thinking what path you should go on at this point in your life. And then 2020 happened to us, and if you're an artist and weren't inspired to say anything, then fuck, you know what I mean? It's not in you. You know what I'm saying? It's so much happened. I wanted to talk about so much. My nephews were getting older, and I'm watching them being brainwashed by uh, commercialized gangster rap. I'm watching them like think it's cool to just like throw up gang signs and like just like it's style almost. Gang banging has become is an outfit that people are wearing. You know what I mean? Because it's so commercial that they feel like, oh, now I'm in a gang, and it's like it's lot. That's also lost all its substance from the '90s. You know what I mean? When it was for real. And
Right.
and so I know they listen to my music, so I wanted there to be more messages in this album. I didn't want it to just be a fucking weed album, packs and hustling. I wanted there to be a message. I have a daughter now, she's getting older, so I started thinking like, yo, one day she's gonna go back through my discography. If fucking nobody listens, she's gonna go back and listen to everything. And so I was thinking like that, and I wanted to make it fucking count. And there's a lot of the title comes from just trying to be an honorable dude, feeling like there's a bunch of fakes out there and just people who just talk about shit they're really not about, and et cetera, et cetera. So it was like the return of something solid,
Word. And that's a dope way to even approach this, going into that space mentally and creatively, and having all them people to consider. And I mean, it was a really dope execution. That, big salute for that.
I mean, and thank you. And so that was where my mental focus was. But like DJ Hoppa fucking created, those sounds, and my boy Mac D created the environment in Denver. So it was like, of all the times we've rapped, like the frequency you're on, and the environment and what you're taking in just is crucial. And so shout out to my boy Mac D in Denver. If you're ever in Colorado and you need a studio, book it at the Lab. My boy, back then we used to record on a laptop, and fucking he, started growing and hustling and just, getting older and using his bread wisely. And long story short, he put it all into building a dope studio. Like, he went to Memphis for a soundboard. Like, he went all over. He put the shit together, and it's like top tier studio. It ain't no pun. Then Hoppa was in quarantine all year as a new dad. And so he was like, any first time dads, like that first year is a shocker, and it's really rough. Emotionally dealing with the lady, adjusting from your old life. And he was in quarantine too. So it was like he was double locked up. And then he finally got out, and I'm like, hey, you want to go to Denver? He was like, cool, yeah, like and he met me, and he unleashed the fury that he had been holding on to all year. Because we did this like at the end of September, October, right?
Right.
He fucking unleashed. Every time he had a beat done, I go work on it. I'd come out, there'd be a new beat. Like, he'd have his headphones while I'm recording, not listening to what I'm doing to the beat, making a new one. Like, he was relentless.
That's crazy.
Relentless fucking pro. And so he really like T-balled the shit for me, because every beat was fire. So I was like, all right, cool. Like,
Word.
so shout
Like
out to
how
Matt and
and
Hoppa.
and how did that connection even happen with you and Broken Complex?
Man, me and Hoppa have been friends since 2015 or something. And I went on tour with Dizzy. Dizzy invited me on tour. I met them
Mm.
like in Denver years ago in the weed game and shit. And Dizzy took me on tour, and we all became great friends. Then when I moved to LA, they were here, so they were like my only friends I could reach out to and come smoke with. And then Demrick and DJ Hoppa took me on tour, so I went all around again with them. And then Dizzy brought me again, so I've been around the country with Hoppa 3 times, like done 90 shows together backstage, so spent a lot of time. Then I think when he had a dad, we really were able to connect like we never have before, because
Mm.
he would like told me before he told the guys, like, and then was asking me how it's going to be, and so we've got to connect on that level. And then we went and created together, so it's just been super organic. It wasn't a rush. We've been friends for like 6 years, and we finally made a project together, so it was like 100% organic, like right moment shit. And then
Word.
he's got his independent label, so it only made sense, bringing it over to them because they got the structure and the platform much better than I do, and he kind of like really showed me how to construct an album and be on point with everything. Like he really helped do put me like on a organizational level I've never been on.
Word. And then before anything else, man, salute to DJ Hopper and that whole operation over at Broken Complex.
Yeah, they're all dope, man. He's got spitters over there. He's got Gavlin. He's got Marley B. He's got they make music.
Um, was there a moment when creating the Good King that you and even like just thinking the Good King and Broken Complex that like it hit you was like, yo, like this is about to be it.
Yeah, we made the album in like 2.5, 3 days. As
And
far as like we got full days for 3 days, and we did pretty much everything. All I had to do was like plug in a a couple feature verses and add a verse, but it was like done like crazy energy, like faster than I've ever done any project.
more
Um, but yeah, we felt like it was special.
that's dope, man. And like, are you one of them artists? Like, let's say, aside from what you were explaining with Hop Up doing the beat while you're recording, are you someone who, if working on a project, whether it's EP, mixtape, full length, are you someone who knows the direction and listens to the beats that caters to it, or are you send me 40 beats in a folder and I'm gonna go through everything?
I'm starting to realize I've made better songs when they create it right there with me.
Mm, okay.
When I get in a vibe, we set a vibe, we set an environment. Because I'm telling you, I've been through years of writer's block where I was like, can't come up with fucking anything, like, and a lot of that has to do with beats. So for me to like unleash like we did is like really saying something about his Hoppa's beats, because there's been years where I'm like, nope, not it, nope, not it, nope, not it, and frustrated. And the block on production for an artist can be the hardest thing. If you got a producer who's dope, stay with that motherfucker, you know. But I like to get in a vibe and let them start playing with beats, and then we'll both together be like, oh, that's dope. Oh yeah, okay. Oh, like it's like we build together,
Right.
and that's been my best ones. Just straight up. Anytime it like gets emailed to me or this and that, like it's good, but it's never feels like magic.
Have you ever come across a beat that you heard it and it didn't connect with you, and then next thing you know, maybe 3 4 months down the line, is like, oh, oh, we might have had a technical difficulty. Yo, shouts to everybody on the check-in on YouTube, man. I appreciate all you guys tuning in right now. Jomy in the building. You know, she's not here. Her presence is not here, but she is amongst us. We got Johnny back.
My bad. My
It's all
bad.
good.
Can you hear me? I pressed the
Yeah,
back button. I
you
pressed the
good.
button all stupid. Anyways, say that part again.
Um, well, I'm trying to find where I was. Oh, yeah, about have you ever come across a beat where it didn't connect with you automatically, but then it's like, you know what, I'm a, nah, that's not it's dope, but it's not me. Next thing you know, 4 months down the line, you actually hear it like passing you in the
All
car
the
and on the
fucking
radio.
time. All the time, dude. Crazy
Mm,
how songs build on you. That's why when you listen to an album, you got to ride to it a few times, give it a break, and come back too. You know, like
word.
songs build on you. There was a lot of there were songs on The Good King, a few that weren't gonna make the final cut. That I was like, okay, let's just leave it. You know, and then those are the first ones getting positive feedback,
Mm,
and I'm just like, wow, you know, sometimes the artist doesn't know fully, you know.
right. Word. And off the Good King, what do you have a favorite song on the Good King?
Eesh. Different days, different songs for different things. Like I was feeling all pumped up to go hike this morning. I was playing that Brick by Brick, you know, and those songs get track 3 and 4 get me hype.
Mm,
Um, track 1 and 2, I really love in the car, and so I'm just starting to see little things like that. But then like I really like the album. I'm not gonna lie. I've been bumping it myself and just riding to it. Um, OT, this dude Overtone in LA mixed and mastered it, and he did it at Playback LA. If you're in Los Angeles, that's the LA studio to go see. And he's just next level. I definitely didn't feel like I cut corners on the on building this album, and he was an integral part in this getting the sound the way it was. So shout out to Overtone on the mix and master.
and between Different Breed and the Good King, what would you say? What would you say you did differently this time from your last project, like creatively?
Um, Definitely better studios. I just tried to level up on it every level. Like all those other ones, they were spread out beats. Some may have been off the internet that I bought
Mm,
exclusive you know what I mean. And this was the first time I had a real in-house producer. Everything was made from scratch. We had a beautiful studio, and then we took it from there and took it to another beautiful studio and had it mixed and mastered. So this was way more professional. Those other ones, I could have been in any studio, honestly, putting it together, which is okay, but that's what it takes. They're all stepping stones, you know what I mean? And so each time you try to get better. But
right,
then I was just a different person because, some of those Different Breed lyrics are kind of raw and rugged. I was pre-kid Johnny.
right.
And so now I even think back like, yeah, she might hear this shit. And so then Say Trees developed even I feel like we peeled some layers there, and then I feel like we really got real on this one.
Word. And even like it's all a progress. Maturing content. Maturing as an individual. So the only thing you can do going forward is growing as a man and as an artist.
100%, Doug. I look back because I left home. I left Denver like 6 years ago. Go back and still feel the love. It's real dope. But I've been in LA for a minute, but I just be thinking like, yo, that was the best move I ever fucking made.
Hmm.
100% because just growth wise, where would I still be? And I have, people homies I grew up with, who are fucking strung out,
Mm,
who are fucking lost or in prison or dead for sure, like, and I'm like, leaving was the best thing for me to survive,
right.
to grow, just for everything. You know, it just was the best move, and it was a scary move in the first few years. Here were hard. You know what I mean? Because I left the nest of the dispensary I worked at, all the connects I had, and just all my resources were in Denver. And I left LA, came out here with Snow the Product. Shout out to Snow. She took me on my first tours and kind of introduced me to the whole game. It taught me
Mm.
so much. And you know what I mean? But there's only so much someone can do for you. You know, she has her own family and everything. So I always had to hustle on my own. Then I ran it. Then I had a baby. So it was like, yo, start from scratch in a new city and figure it out. And now take care of a little kid.
Right.
So I ran into like definitely some storms, but I got through it, rose up, and fucking kept rising. And now I'm better than before. And it's a blessing, you know, but you also feel stronger because you know you hit the ground and came back up, you know. That's the fucking shit.
Word, word. And being an independent artist, with COVID shutting down venues, how did that affect you from being, because you know, like you said, like you've gone on all these tours, like how has it affected you as an artist?
Fuck, it was brutal. We were doing cool private events. I had a whole pop-up show lined up in like 8 cities where I wasn't even going to perform. We were just doing smoke sessions and selling merch and just going to have like little parties. You know what I mean? Like we were doing fun shit. And it all got canceled and it all shut down and it like killed. You know, I was doing all kinds of vlogs, and honestly, then all the protests happened and all the drama and it started happening in it, and I just kind of like stepped away.
Mm.
You know, but I was I was absorbing it all. But it definitely took a lot of air out of fucking the entertainment industries, and just being able to connect with the fans and having people feel comfortable to come out and support events or just network. I was just telling my brother-in-law, shout out to Goof Drop. He's got some fire edibles. I was like, yo, don't you miss the weed festivals? We were fucking taking them for granted. In LA, they always were having them at one location, right? But it was still a huge festival. But everybody's like different festival would be at one place, right?
Mm.
And I'm all like a bougie pothead, so I'm like, oh, we got to go there again, you know. But it's like free. It's. I'm like, switch it up, you know what I mean? Like, fuck, switch it up. But now they've been gone for over a year and a half, and I'm like, please, please come back. Oh my god.
Would you and like, all right, so would you say like the engaging with the fans at the shows is like like, aside from performing on stage, what is something that you can never get tired of as far as performing?
This right here. Smoking weed. I can, because that's the thing about, well, the beauty of weed. When you're on tour, it's not so glamorous on the travel time. The show's lit, everyone's fired up, and then you got to wake up and drive 8 hours to Kansas
Mm.
and stop at all those fucking gas stations and rest stops and just hope to get through fucking Indiana, and just like there's a lot of fucking boring times. And so weed, as long as there's weed, I'm good. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's fucked up. I'm addicted to weed. But I just gotta own it, you know? Like, let's not fucking sugarcoat it. I'm
No,
addicted to weed, and hey, it is what it is. I'm a great guy. Don't drink much. Don't drug up. Don't party. I don't wild out, but I smoke a lot of weed. Tons.
word.
I
Uh,
even know that in New Jersey, where you're at, I could fly with fucking a year's worth of fucking weed, uh, a year's worth of meds, only to New Jersey, as long as I'm a medical patient and am a resident there. Did you
mm,
know that?
nah.
Yeah, you fucking load up on weed as a New Jerseyan.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So,
Um, from your along your journey, like what would you have changed from your experience?
um, fuck. People always say they wouldn't, but I would change some shit. What part of my journey? There's so many things I would have fucking changed. I've definitely adapted and made the best of things, but there's just like, I'd say communication. Like if I could have communicated my feelings better in certain situations instead of just being like fuck everybody or or communicating and not losing your temper, and just communicating with somebody before they died, like
Mm,
being real and communicating and talking things out is fucking over is super underrated. And you know communication is fucking important. Tell people how you feel, tell people you love them, talk it out. It's always worth it. Most people are always like fuck everybody. There's a fuck everybody attitude
yeah,
that we think is cool, and it's not cool in the
mm,
end. It's not
yeah.
cool.
And
And I see
aside,
that with family, like,
yeah,
this person not talking to this cousin, this person not talking to aunt, boom. Like that shit is so stupid.
yeah, some shit is just not worth it. Like when you think about it, it's like yo, like we really wasted all this energy over this. Years go by.
That's what the fucking legacy track was about when I'm saying you're out here hating your daddy, out here hating your family. Nobody taught us how to live. We was out here just stranded. Everybody thinks there's a fucking blueprint to a family and a sitcom version that your family's supposed to be, and everybody it has some little bit of fucked upness in their families, and that's the childhood trauma. But you gotta, once you're aware of it, you gotta let it go and move forward.
Word.
And there's a lot of people still holding on to it. They gotta let it go.
Yeah, like it gets to a point where like even myself with I've had my fair share of fallouts, but it's I've always been one for family, but it's like sometimes it's like you can't control that other side. You could try as much as you can, but you can't control that end. So it's like, you know what? I love you, but I have no other choice but to love you from a distance now.
Right.
Like
100%.
if I could fix it, I would. But
1,000.
like,
And
in order for
that's for
that to
real.
happen, like, that person has to be open to fixing it.
You nailed it, because you try to save them and you can't. And then you realize nobody's going to change until they want to, or can, until they want to. And so you're wasting your energy trying to fucking do it.
Mm,
You got to love them from a distance, exactly what you said, and just hope that they grow, hope that they stay safe and shit, you know what I mean? But that's real.
word.
Mhm.
And
Shout
this
out to your show, brother. It's real. I like polished up. The promo you guys did, I appreciate all that. Like, this is, I hope this shit takes the fuck off for you. You're great at what you're doing. Keep going.
Thank you so much for that, man. I appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like this was created because I was always told, yo, you need to work on your engagement. So it was like, okay, as an artist who does music and not liking the way certain things were, is like, you know what? What better way? What better way than to do this and try to pull information from artists who have journeys so that in case of another artist listening, not only am I going to sponge it up, but I would hope that whoever else is listening, they be able to take away from it, take that, run with it, and perfect your brand, perfect your craft, then you know what I mean? The sky ain't even the limit. You just
Right.
reach for you whatever no one's thinking about reaching, just go for it.
10 times whatever your goal is, make it bigger, 10 times bigger. That's what that Grant Cardone says, that. And that's helped, like just whatever your goal is, just shoot for fucking bigger and see where you end up. I think
Word.
we all can get caught up with self-doubt. And,
Oh, shouts to my co-host who asked, what advice would you give the next generation knowing we didn't have a blueprint ourselves?
um as far as what, musically or just in life?
Um, let's say both.
Well, you know what, you gotta have the Mamba mentality. Kobe Bryant, I think, who's was my favorite player of all time. Just take a look at a little 60-second clip of him and the Mamba mentality and just that fight. And then it works. Like I keep him in my mind right now. I've been working out since Christmas, and I just keep him in my head too. It's inspirational, and I think is like indigenous people, we can call on our ancestry, and Kobe's a part of it now, and we can all be inspired. And so the biggest thing for me is like you work on what you can control. Um, you can control your mind, body, and spirit. So you can control not doing drugs. You can control reading and feeding your soul. You can control eating healthy and staying consistent on whatever your goals are. Those are the things you can control. As long as you're doing that, that builds a lot of good habits. It's the uncontrollable things in life that are hard.
Mm,
Deaths, um, pretty much deaths is a big one, or car accidents, or any fucking catastrophe that's unplanned, that is out of your hands, are the uncontrollable events. Um, and getting over those hurdles and maintaining your focus is the hardest thing. Not dropping, because I've been like, when you look at Nipsey Hussle's whole mindset on the marathon of life being a marathon and continuously running and not quitting. It's not a race. Sometimes you're walking, sometimes you fall, but you keep going in this fucking marathon. And that's very important in life, because uncontrollable things will happen. But everything you can control, you just got to try to improve every fucking day and believe.
word. And what would you say? What would you say? As far as musically,
Musically, man, consistency, which is my biggest weakness, because I'll drop a project and you won't hear from me for over a year. And people are dropping projects like 4 times a year, and staying in people's face and this and that. And I be dropping off. Every time I do music, good things start happening, start getting, you know what I mean? So it's like, don't, don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, stay fucking consistent, stay on it. Um, but if you do, if you life takes you off to another avenue, ride it. You know what I mean? But it's just, consistency is the most important thing, because everybody knows, you go record a song, you put it up, you go get fucking CD Baby, blah, 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 or TuneCore, and you can put it up and spread it, and then you promote it, it's word of mouth, and you try to meet people and you network. We all know that. But the thing is that it's good to be organized, know when you're coming out with projects, singles, map it out, map your year out. Don't just be sporadic. Like, that's the difference between this project and the others. Like, we knew what singles were coming out, what date, based off of where we were at in the project, where we wanted it, when it's coming out, what's the next video. Just be on point with your organization with it, and then just execute. And then you'll do all that, and you'll feel like it's supposed to happen overnight, and fucking it didn't. And then people lose hope, and then you got to start over next year and fucking try to outdo the last project, hoping
Word.
that that's the independent route. You keep some people, one of those tracks blows up, and everybody's one song away from fucking blowing up. One song away. Somebody told me that, so you got to just grind like that. Next time, could always happen.
As an artist, do you feel like you haven't wrote the most challenging song yet?
No, I mean, I always want to do better, but and sometimes the messages just get conveyed differently. I honestly feel like there's been some songs that you know could could hold their own if heard by the right people. And so I honestly just feel like it's always needed just to be in front of the right uh, people, and it hasn't. And
Mm.
a lot of that falls on me. I'm not putting it on anybody, you know what I mean? But I definitely want this project to reach the right ears, and I'm just gonna put that out in the frequencies and hope it occurs and we can manifest that.
Word. And you know what I mean, if, in case no one has noticed, you're rocking say trees on your shirt.
Yes, sir.
As as a brand yourself, like what do you feel artists should be doing to build their brand?
Definitely get some merchandise. I learned a lot about the merch game from Snow. She definitely crushes it in it. She showed me around LA and kind of showed me the hustle in the beginning. I've always had like views of building my own brands, and I've had a lot of names through the years. And then me tied with cannabis, this this name came together, and it's kept evolving. And this has been very exciting, like just as exciting for me as music, building the brand and watching it grow, because it's actually just, it can go further than I can individually. You know what I mean? Like a brand could become so much. And I'm seeing it happen with Say Trees, and it's just got some magic and it's got some blessings wrapped around it, and I'm really watching it take off.
Word. And let's say let's say a 12, 13-year old recognized you, listened to the Good King, walked up to you and asked you for advice because something they heard inspired them to write, to become an artist. With so much toxic music out, what piece of advice would you give that 12, 13-year old who's about to step into being an artist?
People appreciate people who are original and who are authentic. And don't think you gotta sound like the last 10 people just to make a song. It's cool to get the structure of a song, and everybody's first music's gonna sound like somebody. But more importantly, you have to focus on how you truly feel and what you truly want to say and go from there.
Mm, word. Johnny, if Johnny Denver can have a song, the perfect song, with some of the names that inspired you, who would that be and who would produce it?
Um, with the feature and the producer,
Yeah, dead or alive.
man, oh my god, I would just spit and have Bob Marley on the hook, right? Oh my god, and I would have Stephen Marley produce it. and we would just be on some straight like ill level spiritual shit in Jamaica creating. That's what I would do.
Word. Word. One more question. Like one of the last questions I wanted to ask you, and that's piggybacking off of this. You get a knock on your window right now, and this Jay-Z telling you to roll your window down. What's the one thing you can tell Hove that's gonna make him be like, all right, I'll be on the lookout?
Um, I got this book he recommended in my backpack right here.
Yo, you know what? That just
because my boy Scalito, shout out to Scalito, Freeways artist, had a picture with Jay, right? Jay's arms around dude heavy, and Jay is kind of awkward in pics around people, and he's got an arm around my homeboy, right? And I'm like, yo, what did he say to you? That and he was just like, he goes, I asked him what was his favorite book, and he was like surprised that I asked him that. You know what I'm saying? And then he he told him. So I grabbed that book. It's right here in my backpack. I'll DM you and let you know. You know what I'm saying? But so I would show him that first and then tell him I got Say Trees. It's a black-owned business and we're taking off in the cannabis industry. And so my big announcement was that I already had my Jahni Denver OG strain in Colorado, but Say Trees is in the middle of a brand partnership with Antidote Extracts out here in California. And we're doing our own extracts and we'll be licensed and in dispensaries this year in California. So Say Trees is going to become a real cannabis brand. And, there's black owners in the cannabis space that represent less than 4% of the industry. So it's a big deal it's a big deal. You know what I mean? And I'm excited. So if you ever come to California at the dispensary shops, by this summer, Say Trees will be in stores. So be on the lookout.
word. And that's dope, man. Congrats to you for that, bro.
Thank you,
For
my
real.
brother. Oh yeah.
So going forward, like what's next for Jahni Denver?
Just pushing the cannabis brand, Say Trees. I don't want to step away from the momentum with the music this year. I'm dropping a apparel every quarter, and I want an album to come with it. So I'm gonna start creating, and now that I know the perfect process of how I want to do it, I'm gonna make another project that's gonna come out, probably by May, April, May, June at the latest. Just as long as I have a project every quarter. My goal was to have 4 this year, and just really step it up and just fucking hit them with it. 40 fucking tracks this year coming from me. You know what I mean? We're 10 in, so I got 30 to go.
That's dope, man. That's real fucking dope. As we get near to closing out, Jahni, I want to salute you. Want to give you a bow, being someone who's been a follower since Woke TV. I think The Good King is a fucking fire album, and if you're watching this, I highly recommend that y'all check it out. Jahni, thank you so much.
Thank you, my brother.
Quarantine and rap.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Anybody who stayed to listen, shout out to you. Follow Say Trees, bump that Good King, and look out for the cannabis products coming to a store near you.
Word. Before we sign off, Ray, Ray, my bad. I'm sorry, I read the chat. Katie, I love you. Yo, Jahni, let everybody know where they can find you.
You can find me.
Whoa.
I think he did a poof, but listen, man.
Hold on. Jahni about to come back in.
You're gonna come back in like a Johnny Tsunami that he is. Oh, by the way, our apologies for the technical difficulties, but the man is back. Hold on.
Bring him in.
That's so high. You could find me, and then I disappear.
In the clouds.
I'm all, you want to find me?
You can't see me.
Boom, I'm gone. No, that's so high. Anyways, Instagram, Jahni Denver. I spell it Jahni Denver. That's my main one. I'm back on Snapchat, Jahni_Denver. Those are the two. Let's not complicate this.
Where Johnny, like I told you backstage, what you're about to do right now, you're gonna go into the backstage area. So whatever you do, do not leave the backstage area. Katie, Johnny, thank you once again, bro.
Much love, brother. Keep going. I appreciate you.
Stay in the backstage.
Okay.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning in tonight. Mad love to Jomy Los, who wasn't here presently, but she was here in spirit. Thank you all right for holding it down. Jomy, come on, stop it. Roll the Jerry. Oh my God, Ray, you're so phenomenal. Jomy, stop. All
right, come on.
Yo, with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Next week, tune in because we got Von Minx. Yo, if y'all don't know who Minx is, Von Minx, woo, we're going to get into a lot of industry talk. Yo, so with that being said, thank you all. We'll be here. We'll be back next Thursday, 9 p.m. And y'all already know how it goes. Right. Suave. Ow.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, all over the world. My name is Pearson. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Grab your drinks, grab your popcorn, get your notebooks. This is Quarantine Live. Yeah. Live from your mobile phone, TV, or PC. I'm on whatever screen you own. Jumping from tabs to apps, I suggest you don't. I promise you'll miss out on information that is vital. What I do is feature guests. I'm even call them the best. So I'm going viral with idols. It's so classic. Like it says CDs and vinyls. You already know it's time for my show. Right.